I expect nothing less from Bong Joon-ho, essentially.
I'm not you. I'm not gonna live like you. I'm gonna kill you.
Drive-by movies, you're watching
Fresh releases.
My name's Blaise.
And I'm James.
And this week we're talking Bong Joon-ho's latest movie, Mickey 17.
My great gift to mankind. Are you afraid to die? This time I wasn't scared.
Mickey 17 is Bong Joon-ho's collaboration with Warner Brothers after his success with Parasite. Mickey 17 is known as an expendable who goes on a dangerous journey to colonize an ice planet. So this is, as you can probably assume, a sci-fi kind of thriller movie. Well, maybe not so much a thriller, but there are definitely some thrilling moments within the movie. But this is the long-awaited follow-up movie that Bong Joon-ho's been working on since Parasite. Parasite won the Oscar, I believe, like 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Feels like it.
And yeah, this is for sure his highest budget movie. I mean, he's done movies like Snowpiercer and Okja. Maybe those were higher budget, but those were grand movies that felt like they were studio movies, but they weren't. Though Snowpiercer overall was an independently made, financed film, I believe. Even though it had a lot of American actors, it was overall still a South Korean film. And I think the Weinsteins were the ones who distributed it, and that was some controversy there with them changing the movie. But like, this is a full-on American movie by Bong Joon-ho, starring Robert Pattinson. Blaise, what do you think of the follow-up?
So this movie, obviously, I think everyone was fairly excited about this movie. I know a lot of people didn't show out to the actual movie when it got released. This was a massive bomb for Warner Brothers. But I have to say, as Warner Brothers is probably one of those studios that I shit on the most, I will commend them for not just going straight to VOD for this. They did put it in theaters for like 3 weeks, I feel like. And then it was one of the fastest like VOD up releases. And then also, I mean, there's been movies, you know, in the past couple years that they've straight up deleted. So I'm shocked that this got far enough where they didn't just delete this from the servers. This wasn't a Coyote versus Acme situation or Batgirl. We actually did get Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17. And I have to say, I wasn't heavily surprised by this movie, but I knew I was gonna fairly like it. I didn't know I was gonna like it as much as I did. It's not obviously not in the same camp as Parasite, but I feel like it's more in that same camp of Snowpiercer and Okja, where it is kind of this high concept. It still feels somewhat pared down story-wise, but when it comes to everything around like the production design, the special effects, visual effects, and it felt like it really just was galvanizing Robert Pattinson's performance as Mickey 17 and 18. I think that was one of the strongest parts of this movie and one of my favorite parts. James,
Right.
What did you think of the film?
Yeah, that shows the diversity with him because, you know, a lot of people are finally jumping on board with supporting Robert Pattinson. It feels like after his Batman portrayal, a lot of people still see him as the Twilight guy, but, you know, it's been over a decade since those movies have finished up and stuff. Like, you know, the guy has a lot of range, and he shows that here with not just playing, you know, well, you would think like he plays 17 different versions, like a lot of them are just shown through quick flashback sequences, but overall he's playing two different characters. One who's kind of Batman-like, who's like the sad, mean, emo guy or something, and then the other is, well, funny enough, like, I mean, like a lot of people, well, he's even come out and said it himself, he based his like voice and overall like kind of based it off of Steve-O from Jackass, which kind of makes sense because who would sign up for this? I mean, there's a lot of events that led to, you know, why he signed up to be this expendable person. And, you know, like, I can see why he thought, like, oh, you know, like, who would do this kind of thing? Probably someone like Steve-O from Jackass. So it works out very well and shows, like, you know, how different he can change his voice and how big of a voice actor he can be in the future, too. We already saw that with A Boy and the Heron 2 years ago, I believe it was, when we reviewed it here on the show, and we're just like, that was Robert Pattinson? No way. But he's fantastic, and so many other people are fantastic in this movie. It's definitely one of the best movies of the year. Not my favorite from Bong Joon-ho. You and I have seen all his movies. I believe you've seen all his movies. I think the only one I haven't seen is his first movie, Barking Dogs, or whatever that one's called.
Yeah, Barking Dogs Never Bite. Honestly, that might be... Well, maybe that'll be a harder movie for you to check out, but I think just because you love dogs so much, but I think that's like, I know it's his first movie, so this is a like obvious comparison because they're both first movies, but it feels like almost like his Christopher Nolan's The Following, where it's such a like big swing of a first movie, but it's so pared down to be like this small kind of micro film almost, where the concept is literally just about somebody who's studying for a big exam, but there's this dog that's their upstairs, I think it's upstairs or next door neighbor has in like this apartment complex that just keeps barking nonstop. It never stops barking. So they're like, wait, why is the dog never stop barking? And they're trying to get to the bottom of why this dog's just constantly barking. Like, what's going on? Is somebody even attending to it, or is something gone awry? So it's kind of a high concept, but also very pared down and perfect for that first feature. That's why I kind of compared it to Chris Nolan's The Following, because I felt like that was such a big swing for your first movie, where you did it really with no actors, and these guys who have gone on to do all these like crazy movies, like both of them where they're auteurs. It kind of shows in that first movie, really. Mm-hmm. Anyways, getting back to Mickey 17, yeah, I think Robert Pattinson's performance was absolutely incredible. His character's like emo Mickey 18, that was honestly, he's emo but also evil, because there's so many funny scenes where he's absolutely evil, and I was just cracking up. I thought that rendition and that characterization was so funny. I really liked seeing, that kind of like Parent Trap-esque, where you have both the Pattinsons on screen and they're like kind of playing off each other, is really fun. But I have to say, one of the most surprising performances in this film was Nasha, played by Naomi Aki. I'd never seen her in anything, so I thought she carried every scene that she was absolutely in. I thought she was incredible. And I think we expected stuff from Steven Yeun, the other lead in this movie, so it just was refreshing to see like an actor that I hadn't seen before in Naomi Aki.
Yeah, I thought she was absolutely fantastic as well too, and plays a vital role with carrying this movie too, just because it's such a grand story. And it's awesome that Warner Brothers allowed Bong Joon-ho to, I don't know how much money they gave him. I assume this is somewhere like in the $80 to $150 million movie. And a lot of it shows with the CGI within this movie. Bong Joon-ho definitely could have made this movie for a lot cheaper, I feel like. But if Warner Brothers is going to give you that money, go for it. The CGI is fantastic within this movie, and I do see it aging very well for a few years, especially a lot of the close-ups of the creatures within the movie, because I've only seen the first teaser trailer that came out. I didn't see the second trailer that shows more of the story. But I did not expect this to be like a animal rights movie, as well as an environmental movie, but also, seeing, where the world is kind of heading if we ever go out to space and, new laws start changing and everything. I expect nothing less from Bong Joon-ho, essentially. There's a lot of great messages and stuff that we can look into for the deeper meaning of, but overall though, just like with what he was able to accomplish within this movie was great. I'm glad that Warner Brothers was able to, take a big swing with it. Maybe it wasn't the home run that they were hoping for, but you have a strong double, and you just got to rely on us to bring it home, hopefully. So whether this movie finds success over years, I definitely see it happening, because this isn't a bad movie whatsoever. I see a lot of people were disappointed, but give this movie time, and I think it's going to be beloved easily, especially with a lot of the themes that it was focusing on, because a lot of it relates to what's going on today and what's going to happen in the future too, without getting too political. But I think this movie just juggles that without being too on the nose, but still proper for the movie, and then proper for our current setting in history and our current lives.
Yeah, I think going into this movie, I thought it was going to be something different than it was. It feels more like this parody kind of comedy film. I definitely thought from the previous, maybe not, or I guess even the trailers, to be honest, trailers and promotional material, I thought it was going to be more of a science fiction, kind of epic, but it does feel like it's just more this comedy where it's really, you know, anchored by that Robert Pattinson performance that is honestly incredible. But overall, I think a lot of people were just disappointed that, okay, Bong Joon-ho makes another kind of, you know, satire almost in a way, or, you know, has metaphors in his film that are kind of like he's retreading these same metaphors, and it does at times almost feel like he's kind of falling into those pitfalls that Neil Blomkamp even fell into. So I do wonder like what's next on the horizon for Bong Joon-ho. I mean, I think I'll still obviously always support him, but is the general populace that was enamored by Parasite still gonna be there for the next feature? You know, depending where it is. If he has to go back to Neon or A24, I think the Warner Brothers ship is kind of sailed. I don't know if he'd signed a picture deal there or anything, but I'm just assuming that ship sailed, mainly just because Warner Bros. Is in such a bad spot right now. Regardless of the bombing of this movie, I think even if this movie did well, they'd still be in a bad spot because the captain of that ship wants to see that ship sink faster than anything.
Yeah. At the time we're filming this, so Mickey 17 has been out on the premium video on demand for 1 week currently, and Minecraft just came out over the weekend. And that was a huge success for Warner Brothers. But, you know, we know that I forgot how much they're in debt, but I know it's like a lot, and they're not coming out of it from just Minecraft alone. So, you know, I don't see maybe like I assume with Bong Joon-ho going to Warner Brothers that they were looking for a new Christopher Nolan now that he moved to Universal after, you know, having issues with them. And their release of Tenet. Like, I assume they want to keep a working relationship with an Academy Award winner and just be their guy where, like, let him do anything, people will go out to see it. This movie might not have been it, but, you know, like, still let Bong Joon-ho have what he needs to make his next movie. He might not need that extra $50 million that Warner Brothers has in their bank accounts that they shouldn't be spending and saving a little bit more, but, like, you know, hopefully they don't terminate, because I assume it's got to be like a 3-picture contract at the very least. But, you know, I'm glad this movie exists, and, you know, whether or not like it was going to be made at Warner Brothers, I'm sure this is a movie that Bong Joon-ho like had at the back of his mind. I'm glad he put it out as his next movie after Parasite, because I assume his next movie will be a little bit more intimate. Seems like he does that a lot, where he goes from bigger grand story to, you know, a little bit more intimate, and you know, I'm all for it and stuff. Fantastic movie in my opinion. What are your thoughts? Were you disappointed? Did you think it was great? Leave a comment down below, because that's a great way to help support the show. You can also rent it through our Amazon affiliate link in our description box below to help support us.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, catch all our social media links down below for Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, also our own personal letterbox accounts. That'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for some new videos.